Okay, I'm back in the saddle. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm a little concerned because Krita is reporting 4 gig of memory, so I expect it to crash right and left and right. But I realized that the reason it was in, say, screen mode, it was making the whole thing lighter is because there was still some color even in the dark areas of this image. So what I want to do is let's add a filter mask, and the filter mask is going to be an adjustment, which is going to be, should be color. I guess we could use levels, although I was kind of thinking more along the lines of a curve situation, but okay. Okie dokie. Now if we overlay that over top of this, it only lightens it. Now obviously we can do that. Okay. I'm thinking this should be blurred slightly. So I'm going to add another, oh boy, I better save my work. I just ate lunch, so that's why I'm kind of making noise. Add a filter mask, and this one's going to be a blur. And we want it to be locked in the X and Y, and we want it to be a fairly small blur. There we go. That looks really good. Actually, I'm going to hit F3 to edit that. I think I'm going to go with 3 instead of yes. Okay. Now, like I've been doing, I'm going to save my work. Excuse me. Yeah, like I said, in the comments on the prior video that I live streamed, everything I'm doing here in Krita, it's cool to learn how to do it in Krita, and it's cool to be able to do it in Krita. But everything I'm doing would be so much faster in OpenToonz. It's just ridiculous. But I'm going to flatten this layer. So that means that the effects that I just added, the blurring, the offset, the contrast, are all going to be baked into the whole layer now. So, and I'll say it again, if you're working in Krita, if you want to do effects, color correction, transformations, and you want to do it on an entire image sequence that's animated like you see here, you have to use the transform mask or the filter mask, which you add to the layer and then flatten the layer. If you add a adjustment or a transformation directly on the animated layer, it will only affect that one frame. Get it? Okay. Thick of my teeth here. It's like, how disgusting is that? It's pretty disgusting. See how long it's taking to flatten the layer? Well, that's Krita for you. Everything takes forever in Krita. And why shouldn't it? This machine only has 12 cores, only 12 CPUs. It's only got 32 gigabytes of memory. It's only such a measly weak machine that you can edit a feature film in full HD mode with many multiple layers of like effects and color correction and stuff like that in real time. But Krita, no. How long did that take? Like 2 minutes to flatten the layer? Oh my goodness. Oh my, oh dear, oh frankincense and myrrh. Okay, so now that we've done that, now we want to add back in our glow. So what we should do is turn on our background, Let's go File, Save. Saving document. And then what I'm going to do here, if it ever saves the document, it's saying it's at 0%. So, but we just reviewed that, didn't we? We determined that everything in Krita takes a long time. That's okay. That's okay. Okay. So now we got this layer. And this is going to be our glow. Okay. That's going to be our glow. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a filter mask. And that's also going to be a Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur. Pretty big blur. Yep. There it goes. Alrighty then. Now what I really want to do here is I want to add, I don't even, see, when it comes to masking, I'm good with GIMP. I use masks all the time in GIMP. I'm not really so good with them in Krita. So I'm groping here. But I'm assuming if I do a transparency mask, okay, I'm guessing if I do a transparency mask and then I select a gradient and then I go to gradient and I want to go from foreground to background. Okay. And the background goes black to white. So foreground is black, so that means towards the bottom we want it to be black, and basically what we're going to do is draw a gradient like that. And honestly, I can't tell if it worked. So let's turn off our rim light. Okay. That did seem to work. Krita actually has a strange way of dealing with drawing gradients. Yeah, you literally have to. I'm gonna have to like. Okay, it's going from black to. Okay, fine. So what if we do that? What if we do that? That, unfortunately, that kind of sort of worked. So what if we do that? Okay, so that's behaving more the way we would expect. Why is it? What I'm trying to do here, folks, is, oh, I know why, because it's radial. This is a radial. Let me see. I got to look here at my settings. I know, it's going to be over in tool options. Yes, there's the problem. I want a linear. So it goes from black to white. Ta-da! That's what we wanted. Good. Okay, cool. So it's like it's a pain, but if you try hard, you can usually figure it out. So File, Save. I'm going to save my work because according to Krita, I'm still floating around 4 gigabytes, which means it's going to crash at any moment. But you'll see this is actually going to look fairly cool. Okay, that's done. So can I go ahead and flatten this layer? It's not like it'll cause Krita to save any memory or anything. Oh boy, this is going to take like 5 minutes to flatten this layer. That's rough, man. That's seriously rough, dude. And okay, so I'm going to go grab something to drink while it flattens the layer. Skip forward on the video about 2 minutes if you don't want to wait. Yeah, it's hard to believe, but it's at 37%. So this is going to take about 4 or 5 minutes to flatten out this layer. That's pretty remarkable. Is there anything else I can do in the meantime? Is there anything else I can do? Well, let's jump back to Blender and see what we're working with. Okay. You can kind of see why we're doing what we're doing. We got the sky in the background. These dudes are coming in, crawling in here. Okay, and you can see where having these nice rim lights behind these guys kind of makes a lot of sense. And by the way, there's something else we need to address in Krita. Right here, this whole area needs to be black. Once we get to this shot, we're going to deal with that shot separately. We'll just deal with it later. Because every single one of these shots is requiring a lot of work, which is why I've kind of ranted about the futility of doing this all in Blender with the grease pencil and the ink. So much about this particular sequence of 3 shots would have been infinitely easier if I had done it in OpenToonz. So it is what it is. And we're up to 56%. So sit tight, folks. Like I said, jump forward a couple minutes, because I'm not going to stop I don't really have a way to pause it. I can either stop and start it, and then I have 2 videos, then I have to edit them together and re-render the videos, which is a pain. So I don't want to take the time. So again, just skip forward several minutes if you want to not have to sit through this. And meanwhile, I'm still trying to find my cup. I have misplaced my magic cup. It's like the best cup ever, and I can't find it. Wow, we're up to 73%. So, Oberon beer. When the cruel whims of fate cause you to lose your magic cup, Oberon beer, or ale actually, Oberon ale, makes everything right. Makes everything okay. So, how refreshing. We're up to 80%. It's remarkable. But the reason it's taking so long is because Krita is going to do a really amazing job of calculating all those little glows and blurs, and it's going to be really, really good. And if you want goodness, if you want exquisite goodness, which we're 15% away from experiencing true exquisite goodness. 87, okay, 13%. 12%. The key to exquisite goodness is making sure it takes a long time. This is something that software developers learned quite a few years ago. So if you had software back in about, let's say, when I got my first computer, I think it was 1992 or something. And you know, the processing of filters in graphics software, pretty slow. Well, those software developers realized that when it's really slow, you feel like it's must be doing a good job. So that's why 20 years later, it still takes 5 minutes just to process a glow. Even though we could see it in the viewport in real time, we could literally see it in the viewport. We could have jumped forward 30 frames, and boom, there it is, and it looked fine. But to actually process it at the speed that you'd be able to jump from frames and see it, no. Once you're ready to process things, we want to slow it way down. Slow down. Because if it's really slow, if it takes practically forever, then you know it's doing a good job. So that's an important thing to remember. We want our software to take its time. We want to be patient so we can know it's going to be amazing. Okay. So this is in screen mode. I don't want this in screen mode. By gum and by crikey. I want it in lighten mode. Okay. So now we see, unfortunately, I have very bad news. Very bad news, people. And the bad news is that we're going to have to do the same thing on this layer that we did on this layer. I love that glow. But the problem is this. Let me double check one thing, though. Turn that off. There's our glow. Huh, that's interesting. I would almost swear that a moment ago... Oh, okay, there's the thing. There's the problem. Okay. So we better call this glow so we're all on the same page. Hopefully that won't cause Krita to use another gigabyte of memory. You know, if you change the name, think of it this way. This is where Krita really is exceptional. If you change the name of a layer, there does remain a remote possibility that later you might want to change the name back. And at what moment did you want to change it back? You can't possibly know in advance. So I'm sure that Krita is storing every moment that the file's been open, just in case you'd want to go back and change that name again. So it could require a little more memory, like another gigabyte or 2, or maybe 3 or 4 or 5. But you know, you get what you pay for. So now this layer, that's our actual guy, and then this is our glow. So why is our glow? I know why. No? That is not correct. So is this locked to the alpha? Oh, I know why. There's the problem. Okay, we can't have this in the background. Okay. Let me explain this. This layer being limited to the alpha, the idea is for it to be limited to the alpha of the guy. But the minute you put the background in, obviously the whole image has an alpha of, 100% all over the place. So now all of a sudden that masking no longer works. How do we solve that? Well, I'm going to show you. The way we solve that is we take all these and we group them. I think that's how we solve it. Okay. And then within the context of that group, we turn on the alpha masking. See that? See that change? Okay, now it's retained. Okay, you see what just happened? Now it's behaving the way we wanted it to. So that looks pretty darn good, I must say. It looks good. And I don't know that it's perfect. It's definitely skewing out of whack here. Makes me want to consider doing a opacity keyframe for the group. Yep, by the time he gets up to doing the barrel roll, we don't need to see that glow anymore. Not like we did. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to go back to the beginning, and we are going to, where do we insert an opacity keyframe? I've only done this a couple times. So let me just see what we have here. Pass through is turned on. And I apologize, just as so often happens, the very thing. I know exactly what I want to do, and I literally have no idea how I'm going to do it. I thought it was, let me click on this and see what happens. Is there something about the opacity keyframe here? No. Is there something about the opacity keyframe? Where would it be, folks? Maybe it would be if we hit F3 and go to the layer properties. The opacity here is 0, so you would think logically if you right mouse clicked it, it would give you the option to keyframe that, right? Since keyframing opacity is like a thing in Krita. Nope. Can't do it. Okay. Inherit alpha. Okay, so the question becomes, how do we insert an opacity keyframe? Okay, so this is interesting. The opacity looks like all of a sudden, now I can't see anything. Oh, I see. Duh, that's okay. I'm being stupid now. Okay. So basically about here is where we want to start tailing off the opacity. So I wish I could remember. So what I'm going to do to save time is just look it up. How to insert opacity keyframe Krita. Because there's some magical secret. I know it's a deep, 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 deep secret. So let's pull this right down here and let's find out. Animation with Krita. And so let me just find opacity. Okay. To create an animation curve, currently for opacity, expand the new frame button. Okay, so I'm going to move this back here. Expand the new frame button in the animation dock. Okay, so my animation dock is up on the other screen. So I'm going to go to the animation dock, and it says expand the new frame button. There's the new frame button, and there it is. Add opacity keyframe. So now I'm going to do that. And of course what it did was it set the opacity to 0. So now I'm going to go here, and now I believe I can insert a new frame. Nope. Everywhere in Krita, if you were to right mouse click and insert a frame, it would, not surprisingly, it would insert a frame. Not with opacity keyframes. No. Nope. The logical thing would be to right mouse click there and insert a keyframe. But nope, Krita doesn't work that way. In fact, it's a lot better. I'm sure there's a reason why this is better. So now it actually did insert a frame, because you can see if I click that frame it says remove them. But there it says new frame. So that means the new frame that I inserted, it looks like maybe it actually did in fact insert a frame. But a frame of what? And indicating what being keyframe? There doesn't seem to be any indicator. So yeah, it would make a lot of sense to have the option to insert an opacity keyframe in the column where another opacity keyframe is already present. Okay, but not in Krita. So maybe if we go control and drag, we can actually just duplicate this. Yes, okay. Now that's the way to do it. Now we set that opacity to there. And so now we have a problem, don't we? You can see what the problem is. We didn't mean to do that to the whole thing. Okay, we meant to do it only to the group. So now if we stick that there, I think that might do what we're wanting. So let's turn the opacity of this up a bit. And now this is very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. This is Krita for you. This is great. You'll notice that by dragging the grouped layers that represent my character, by dragging them out of the group that it was part of, I want you to show this shows you how the creators of Krita, you know, they're one step ahead. They're ahead of you. You're going to say this doesn't make sense, but you don't understand that they're ahead of the game. Because remember, in this layer, we had oh, this is funny. I can see what it, I kind of can see. Okay, what had I done? What I had done was added blurs and glows, and as you can see, these layers don't have any transform masks. They don't have any filter masks. So I added blurs and glows, but then I baked those in to the layer so that the layer was flattened. So when it's flattened, now the blurred version of the layer is in fact what the art is. It's no longer crisp, clean art that has a blur filter layered over top of it. Now the blur is baked in. So that's what I did here. But yet, when I dragged one layer outside of this group, all of a sudden, not only did we, all of a sudden, the blur that was actually baked into the layer, so there's no way to get it back to unblurred. But yet, Krita has found a way to do it. So isn't this impressive? So by dragging the layer that contained my character out of this group, it appears to me that maybe the glow and the blur gone forever. Huh. I'm thinking that this must border on brilliant. It really must border on brilliant. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this group and drag it back in. Because I think what's going on here, actually, is that this needs to be below. Okay, these guys need to be alpha locked. Okay, so this is definitely interesting. These layers should be alpha locked to this layer. Okay, so we're going to turn this off. This is the, obviously this is the rim light. Okay, and this is the glow, so I'm going to turn both of them off. And then what do we see? Oh, now this is interesting. What we see, oh, I see. You have to turn the I can't even finish my sentence. It doesn't show you what's really there until you move to the next frame or something. So it doesn't actually update. Like I said, I know there's a reason why this isn't just a good idea. This is brilliant. It's so brilliant that I personally can't even wrap my head around it. It's so smart. It's just so amazingly smart. So that's so cool. I love it. Okay? So I guess it's kind of behaving the way I want. Except the glow isn't supposed to be alpha locked. What's really funny about it though is okay, so the glow is on top, so therefore let's drag this up and see what happens. Okay, so now the glow is behind. So I was wrong. So Krita is calculating from top to bottom. Okay, and this does need to be alpha locked, but it can't be. Okay, so if we drag it up here and then alpha lock it, for the life of me, I can't figure out what is supposed to happen here. Because if I turn the layer off, it's not turning off. But if I turn the glow layer off and then back on, or I'm sorry, the character layer off and then back on, then it disappears. See, this again is the developers of Krita just looking out for you. See, you're so stupid that if you turn off a layer, they know you don't really want to turn it off. You're going to change your mind. You're stupid. You're going to change your mind probably 5 minutes later, maybe 5 seconds later. You don't really want to turn it off. So we're not going to let you. We'll play pretend. We'll play pretend and pretend you turned it off, but we won't turn it off. But then if you click in this other layer and turn it off and back on, then we'll say, oh, okay, now we know because he turned that layer off and on that he was serious about not wanting that other layer on. And so we'll go ahead and turn it off. They're kind of like your parents, you know? They're just so loving and kind and good and helpful. It's really great that they do that for us. Okay, so now if we move that down, now we can turn it off and on. Can we alpha lock it? No. We can only alpha lock it. Last time I checked, alpha locking only makes sense. Okay, I see. I see what's going on. Once again, okay, this needs to be below. Nope. Darn, it needs to be above. So there's the rim light. But if you turn on this background image, which by the way, as you can see, is turned off. I just turned it on right there, but it doesn't actually turn on because see, I'm really stupid. I didn't really want to turn it on. See? Oh, there we go. But if we do it twice, then it's okay. He must really want to. So this is where I just love how Krita is always thinking for me and really helping me do a better job. So it's just really fantastic. Okay, so I'm really enjoying the way you can turn layers off and back on and they don't actually do anything. I think that's really a neat feature. So because the behavior is so bizarre, I can't actually figure out whether it's supposed to be above or below. So in order to keep from going patently insane, since I do have another copy of my character, I'm going to flatten this layer. Flatten. Okay, now it says merge group. Everything else says flatten layer, but now it's merge group. Okay. You know, the thing is, you got to remember that it's confusing for people. If you use the same terminology everywhere in the software, that's really confusing. So in other words, what's a good metaphor? Okay, it'd be like saying, if you open a bathroom door, you open it. But if you're going to open the door into your attic, you're not really opening it, you're accessing it. So we access the attic. We open the bathroom, we access the attic. You see, it would be very, very, very confusing to use the same word in both applications. You would never say, I'm going to open the door into my attic, or I will open my front door. You would never say that. You would say, I'm going to access the beautiful outdoors, right? That's what you would say. So we open a bathroom door, but we access the great outdoors. It's too confusing to use the same terminology in two places. So that's why Krita, again, is really, they're ahead of the curve. In most places, what we do is we flatten a layer. But if you grab a group that has a bunch of layers inside it, then we're not flattening that. We're merging it. So this is a merge, that's a flatten. Clearly, two completely different things. There's no relation between the two, is there? None. So I'm glad we straightened that out. Okay, so now if we get rid of our character, the question is, how do we get... See, even when I turn the background off, this... Okay, so now the alpha locking works. The alpha locking works if the background's turned off. And I love the way you get to turn the... You can click it like multiple times, which is really a lot of fun. Really, really a lot of fun. Okay, so having said that, gosh, it's only taken us a half hour to... What we wanted to do was set an opacity key for the group. And the great thing is, now I admit, if we've been working in, say, OpenToonz, we would have set a keyframe of the opacity of any number of groups, and then go forward a few frames and set another opacity key, and we'd have been done. The whole thing would have taken 7 seconds. Now that's stupid. That's crazy. You can't do things that quickly. If you do things quickly, you don't, we need to stop and smell the roses here, people. We need to really enjoy life. And the way to enjoy life is to go a little slower, a little more slowly. So this is why this is really working for me. What we wanted to do, which is simply to keyframe the opacity of this group of layers, and we did. The great thing is it's only taking what? It's only taken about a half hour, it's taken about a half hour just to be able to keyframe that opacity. So, I mean, in terms, if you compare it to, let's say, the evolution of the entire universe, well, it's pretty quick. Half an hour is really fast compared to, a galaxy coming into being. So we shouldn't complain if it takes a half hour just to keyframe opacity from 100% down to 0%. We want to stop and smell the roses here. Enjoy the process, okay? So I'm really, really enjoying this. It's just fantastic. Okay, so now what we can do is turn this back on. And I'm thinking that, okay, we can't set, what are we going to get here? This should definitely be interesting. Okay, so if we turn this on, we don't want to be too impatient here. Now remember, it's not really fair to turn something on and expect it to turn on immediately. The whole idea of stopping and smelling the roses is this idea that if you're going to turn it on, you want to be able to click it at least 2 times, 2-3 times. Click it over and over, and you'll find that it becomes a really satisfying experience. So that's really much, much better. Okay, so now my question is, does this look any different with this overlaid? Okay, well, let's see what happens here. Okay, as you can see, the stuff that's on top seems to have faded out, I think. Yes, it did. And then we're moving. So I think that we're in good shape. With that, I'm going to hit File, Save, and I'm going to render the whole thing out of Krita. Now, gosh, again, I'm always comparing to either Blender or OpenToonz. If we were to do this in OpenToonz, it would probably take, well, it would take a few minutes probably to save out all of our images. So I don't know. I think what we want to do is obviously save our work. Do you guys get the impression that I'm being just a bit snarky today? Just a little snarky. Just that little bit. Little snarky. Little snarky never harmed anyone. Okay, so now what we're going to do is render the animation. Yeah, overwrite it. And that's it. Now that's happening quickly. See, this bothers me. This really bugs me. The idea of saving out images at this kind of a pace is, it doesn't even give us a chance to go have a meal, use the lavatory, to go relieve ourselves. We barely have time to go do anything before the render's done. So I really wish the rendering in Krita was kind of like everything else and would just slow down. Slow down, people. Okay, let's go back here and let's open recent. It doesn't look like this has been modified, so let's open this and everything looks the same. And as we can see, look at this. Okay, I'm going to say yes and no. I'm not really seeing the glow. I'm seeing the rim light, but I'm not seeing the glow. Where's the glow? How do we like that? Not sure. Let's put this in rendered mode and see what it looks like. Oh, there's the glow. There's the glow. Holy smokes, that looks great, you guys. Doesn't that look good? Wait, I'm not live streaming, so you can't answer that question. That looks pretty darn good. Okay. And by the time we get here, it tails off again. So now there is a little bit of a step here where it's kind of obnoxious. Okay, why is that so obnoxious? Is that, am I seeing the glow that's baked into the group, the lower group? I think it might be. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute this group. I'm going to turn on the background. Well, it doesn't look like it. So I guess what I need to do is look at right here. There's the problem right there. Look at that. Man, I wish we could. Okay, that helps. Okay, so my question is, nope, it's not. It's got to be in this group of layers. So therefore, what I'm thinking is we want to take this opacity layer, move it to right here. So in other words, we're going to make it count where it really matters. Once he does this barrel roll, we don't need a bunch of glowing going on. So good glow. Basically, okay, is the glow gone? It doesn't look like it to me. Let's go here. Turn the opacity to 0. You see the difficulty of this? I can't actually see if it's masking properly, and the problem is that once again, at least it appears that the blurring is gone. So that seems correct. And obviously that's fine. So it's really this layer right here. This layer is seriously screwy. It's screwy. I think it's because of that perspective skewed transform I did. Okay. So I'm trying to look really close here and see if it's clamping. I literally cannot tell if it's clamping. Because up here at the top, I can still see it. Okay. So at the very least, we probably need to just turn this stupid thing down. Okay. Yeah, it is not clamping. This is, this is one of the flaws in Krita. If the alpha, I think there's something here. Let me see this. Isolate layer, show in timeline, split alpha. I'm not sure what that even means. It seems to me there was something about the properties of a group layer that's supposed to allow it to functionally operate independently of other layers that aren't part of the group. So, unfortunately, this operation that has taken at least, well, half the day. It's taken half the day. This whole operation would have been done in OpenToonz in about 10 minutes, literally. That's how ridiculous it is to be trying to do this stuff in Krita. But what I've been telling myself is, geez, I'm in so deep, I might as well see it through. So that's basically what I'm trying to do. Okay, so let's hide that. And let's let's... Yeah, so there is no scenario where that works, is there? None. Can we move it down and have it behave better? Nope, so kill it. It's gone. Gone forever. I'm not gonna have the crazy frustration. Alright, let's check addition. Okay, let's make that more like screen. I don't like that. Let's leave it as normal. So, like I said, the rim light, which would have been a dottle in OpenToonz, has been just north of a nightmare in Krita. So, it is what it is. Crazy. And then, by the way, we also have this bizarre change here. What is that? Is that an opacity keyframe? Let's select. Yep, that's what it is. So here the opacity is 100%. Barrel roll goes to 0%. Okay, so this is kind of unfortunate, but we've lost our rim light. And as far as I can tell, the only way to get it back would require another half a day of work. And as you can see, Krita is reporting that we're using 4 gigabytes of memory. And when it comes to memory usage, Krita can probably be best likened to the United States government with taxes. It's like once we levy a tax and then spend that money on some program, there pretty much is no scenario where you're going to go back and release that money and maybe give it back to the people. You know, those crazy little critters we have running around the whole nation called people. No. We never give it back. Once we take, we keep. It's kind of the way Krita seems to be with memory. So even though I've done a lot of deleting of things and flattening of things, it's been telling me, it's been reporting to me for the last hour that it's using 4 gigabytes of memory. So it doesn't seem to ever use any more than that. So I should look at the bright side. The bright side is Krita never uses any more than 4 gigabytes of memory, which is fantastic. You know, let's compare it to OpenToonz. Here we have OpenToonz with enough shots that are open right now to comprise my 4 gigabyte Krita file times 12. So theoretically, we should see OpenToonz right now using roughly 52 gigabytes of memory. Let's find out. OpenToonz. Huh. That's the darndest thing. Look at that. 714 megabytes? And in fact, Krita, you naughty little thing. You've been telling a little fib. You're not using 4 gigabytes of memory. You're using almost 8. So Krita, to do one shot, requires 8 gigabytes of memory and about 10 minutes just to flatten out some layers. Whereas OpenToonz needs 1/10 the memory. Wow. Oh my gosh, this has been so enlightening. Okay, so Krita's telling little naughty lies. Oh, but see, this is also like the American. This is like the American commerce system, if you will. It's like our medical establishment. It's like pharmaceuticals. It's like this. We give you a drug. We don't give you a drug to make you well. We give you a drug to make you feel well. The idea is to feel well. The idea is to cover up the wound so you can't see it. It's like plastic surgery. We're not worried about making you healthy. Why would we be? No. We want you to feel healthy. We want to put in our commercials that you never felt so well. Something like that. That's a good slogan. See, that's how Krita is. You never felt so well because Krita tells you it's only using 4 gigabytes of memory. That's awesome. Does it really matter how much it's actually using? I mean, come on. Why does that matter? That shouldn't matter. No, no, no. We're concerned about how we feel about what Krita's doing for us. We don't care about what Krita's actually doing for us. It's a very important distinction to remember, folks. Very important. It is, in fact, the American way. Here I am. Can you believe I'm like cracking on America? Only because, oh brother, that's a whole nother topic. I'll just leave it at this today. I used to be fairly conservative. Now I'm pushing more to the left. On most things, I'm in the middle. I've thought about creating a YouTube channel called Alt Center. I'm the Alt Center. There's 2 sides to every story, but sometimes, especially when I'm in a snarky mood like I am today, my snarkiness comes out. So anyway, we did see earlier, to Krita's credit, that it does actually render the animation pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and re-render this sucker. And yeah, I mean, that is pretty fast, I must say. This is about as snarky as I've gotten. But I mean, the contrast between working, because if you guys have been watching this channel, you've seen what I've been doing with OpenToonz. The difference in speed and flexibility is, there's literally no comparison. No comparison at all. Do you want to fly to China or do you want to swim across the ocean? It's up to you. I mean, if you swim, you're going to get some good exercise. You're going to get out and you're going to commune with nature. It's all good. So it's not, flying's not for everyone. Okay. So let's just do the same thing again. We're going to actually save this because Blender's telling us that it needs to be refreshed. And oh, now when I open it, that's interesting. Now when I open it, everything goes dark on me. Okay. So it's like we're back into a mode that doesn't really work very well. Okay, so why did Blender, I saved the file, why did Blender switch it back to solid mode? I didn't ask for that. Okay, so now here's the problem we're going to have. And again, I'm at the point now where I'm ready to abandon Krita completely. It's not doing the masking correctly, and in fact, what it's doing is inexplicable. It's inexplicable. What was there in my whole process that would have caused that to appear all of a sudden out of nowhere on frame 58 and then disappear on 66? Let's find out. I mean, let's explore it. Frame 57. Okay. Okay. I get it. Okay, so layer 11, the opacity. Okay, see, we can't really see the curves. That's the problem. If we saw the opacity curve, I see what would be going on here. This would be right there. See, it'd be really cool if, okay. The opacity here is 100%. So on this keyframe, we need to jump it to 100%. Thank goodness Krita did not update the viewport. So this is helping me again to have a more intimate relationship with Krita because I have to trust Krita. I have to trust Krita that it's going to be 100% opaque. Because I don't need to see. I'm going to cover this up with my hands. I don't need to see that it worked. I just need to trust. Okay, so I'm going to trust. And here, the opacity, what it reports here is that it's 100%. Oh, that's the darndest thing. Oh, I see. I get it now. If you turn the layer back off and then back on, then you get to see what it really is. Okay. 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 So why is that all of a sudden dropping there? Why did it drop to 70%? I told it to stay up at 100%. Let's turn it off and back on and see what happened. Okay, so I set it to 100. Let's see what happens. Now it's 100. Oh, it's still 100. Okay. So, no, it was 100 until I turned it off and on again, and then it was 0. Okay, so here, somewhere in the middle, it should probably be around 50%, right? And it is. Okay, so that shows me everything's working now. So, if anyone out there is wondering why I don't use Krita for animation, now you know. Now you know. It's, as I've said in other videos, if you want to create a 12-frame toy animation of a circle that has 2 dots and a curved line that looks like a smiley face, and that's what you're going to do, Krita's great. But when it's time to get real work done, it's comically inept as a piece of software. Just is what it is. Probably not going to change for a while, so can't cry about it. Let's see if okay, this time Blender goes ahead and leaves me in material mode. So now let's see what we got. Okay, so now the image sequence. Wow. Okay, sure. I'm sure that's exactly what I wanted. That right there. That's what I was after. Okay. And of course, because of the way it deals with opacity of your layers, there's no way to check it. So this is what, oh wait, I gotta check this though. My bad, this is my mistake. This really needs to be in rendered mode to see what it's really gonna look like. Okay, that makes more sense. So we got this glow behind. So everything I've done today has been about just getting this glow behind these guys. And admittedly, you know, it does look kind of good, but frankly, a rim light would have looked a lot better. A rim light would have looked better. End of story. I wanted the glow, but what I really wanted was the rim light. But then Krita pretty much exploded when it was time to do the rim light. Simply would not give me the result I was after. Compositing modes be damned. So, with that, I'm going to say, folks, today, I'm done. I quit. I'm not going to be using Krita for post-production effects. If I have a toy animation to do that is only a dozen frames, and it's just enough to get me excited about all the things I could do in Krita, because I want to be excited about what I could do, then I'll use Krita. But if I want to actually get work done, then I will not use Krita. So what have we learned this week? Summarize it. We have learned that we will not ever use Blender for inking. We have learned that we will not ever use Krita for compositing. And the sad, simple truth is that everything that we can do in Blender or Krita in this anime workflow, it's not talking about CGI, but I'm talking about in this anime workflow, every single thing that we can do in Blender or Krita, we can do better, faster, more reliably, with less crashes and less bugs and less stupidity in OpenToonz. So if anybody out there is wondering why I, who used to crack on OpenToonz, I used to criticize OpenToonz. But what I've learned is, if you're serious about getting work done, quit playing around with tools that aren't up to the task and use the one that is. Now, and I say that saying that if OpenToonz wasn't up to the task, I might be using TV Paint right now or something else. You know. But at this point, I feel like I've been through so much difficulty today just trying to get the stupidest, simplest things done that my next step is going to be, is going to be offline. I'm not going to do it on the YouTube channel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole shot and I'm going to break it into pieces, into layers. I'm going to render everything separately, bring it into OpenToonz, and start doing what works. Looking forward to that. So I hate to call this a bust, but I think it's just been way too painful. So I am gonna bake the camera move in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a Kari. Actually, I'm not gonna do a Kari. I'm gonna leave a Kari out. I'm gonna do the background image. I'm gonna render that sequence right there up to this point right here. I'm gonna render that image sequence, just the wall and floor. I'm gonna render that image sequence of just my ninja guys, and I'll probably go ahead and render the nighttime sky as well. And then we'll bring those into OpenToonz and do all of our post-production there. Then as far as these shots go, I think we'll just take the ink and paint, bring it into OpenToonz, and kind of start from scratch because we really haven't lost much work. So and then what I'll do is I'll just bring this. I'll take this shot right here of a Kari from this scene, and I will just start from there. Start from there and just use the A key, the animate tool, to just copy the camera move. We'll just move a Kari so it copies the camera move, and it'll look fine. So anyway, with that, it's been a tough day, man. The last couple days, I know I've ranted a lot. I know I've been really snarky, and I meant every word. So I'm not going to belabor the points. We can see where we're at. I'll recap right now. Just recap the workflow. Blender is great for CGI. Blender is great for pencil tests. Ink, it's got to be OpenToonz. Paint, it's got to be OpenToonz. If there's a small toy sequence that I can do as a standalone image sequence without too many layers, then I could see inking and coloring it in Krita. I could see doing that for sure. But basically, Krita's kind of off the list, other than for maybe painting. You know, doing a painting, it's fine. Although I have to say I prefer GIMP for the most part. And then OpenToonz, man, for animation, for layering things up, for ink, probably the vector layers. Convert them to Toonz raster for paint. Do the painting in Toonz raster. And then you've got OpenToonz for your post-production. And then, of course, we're bringing it into Vegas for final editing and possibly color correction. So that's the workflow. And I would say I've lost probably, I'm going to say the last 4 days, I think it's been, has been pretty much, in terms of moving the project forward, it's almost been down the toilet, but not quite. In terms of learning hard lessons that I can take forward so I don't make those lessons again, it's been great. It's been fantastic. Because now I know for sure what I'm definitely not going to do. Not going to ever use Blender for ink. Not going to ever try to do anything slightly complicated compositing-wise in Krita. And I think with that, we will call it a wrap. It is 2:52. I need to go pump some iron and get on with some other stuff. So thanks for watching, and that's that.